Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and you've clicked on it, so you know we're going to be talking about Doom Patrol Season 2 as a whole. But really quickly, I just want to say, if you're liking the content, please hit the like button, and if you're not a subscriber, it is 7:50 in the AM, and I can't talk. If you're not a subscriber, please consider becoming a subscriber. We'd really appreciate it here at the channel. We, as in me. Uh, Also, I was watching somebody else's video about a game called Dishonored 2, and what I really liked about his intro was he had just a simple black frame that said, "Don't let what you like define you," and that if you don't agree with what I'm saying, it's not a personal attack on you. And I thought that that's such a really great sentiment, that the videos that good content creators want to make aren't supposed to polarize people. They're just somebody's opinions. Like what you like. So if you don't like what I have to say, it really isn't a personal attack on you. And yeah, don't let something that you like define you. I really like that. I really like that. Because I like so much stuff. I have so much stuff, but none of that defines me as a person. It just, these are the things that make me happy. Anyway. Getting on. Well, that's kind of what gets me it's pretty appropriate, I think, to say that before this video, because I reviewed Season 1, and I was really critical of it. Like, I always praised its imagination and its ideas, but I came down on it pretty hard with the way that it was presented and the constant barrage of vulgarity that seemed unnecessary. That they were doing it just to get the 12 to 14-year-old boys to tune in, when this is a really dark and an adult show, for what it is. And I still stand by that. I still stand by those opinions. And Season 1 was pretty good. I really did like it. Its failings really held it back. And so I hope that they would learn a little bit in the sophomore season of Season 2. I made a hastily put together review for the first 2 episodes of Season 2. And I actually took it down, I think less than a day later, because I just felt like, man, I really didn't put too much thought into it. I just kind of basically repeated what I said about Season 1, which was more of the same. It's the same thing. Great ideas, too much vulgarity, and I swear, guys, I fucking swear all the goddamn time. But for some reason, the barrage of vulgarity just kept taking me out of it. So I kind of felt the same about Season 2 as it started. And I wasn't really in a big hurry to get back to it after how I had seen the first 2 episodes. Like, well, if it's more the same, then, why really rush out to see it? But episode to episode, I kept coming back again. And what I found by the end of this, and I even actually took 3 weeks off from watching it. So I ended up watching 3, 4, and 5 as they came out. But then 6, 7, 8, and 9 just, I kind of did other things. And I kind of, not binged, but watched one episode, the next day watched another episode, the next day watched another episode. Until I got to the finale yesterday and watched that. And what I'm happy to say is I really enjoyed Season 2. And there are many factors to this. And they're all things that I'm really happy to talk about, rather than feeling like a slog that I felt like when I was doing Season 1. And that was after Season 1 was over, and I was reviewing it after the fact. It really felt like something I just had to get through. Like, oh my god, I'm still doing Doom Patrol Season 1. And I'm glad that I didn't do episode to episodes for this. I really am. Because I feel like they might have just become just kind of like my Season 1 ones, where it's just like, yeah, like the same thing here and there. But here are the things that I have to say about season 2. And there will be some spoilers. I don't know how far I'm going to talk about it. That's why I just put a spoiler warning in front of this video. And I'm running off of no notes this time. This is all improvised. I do this still occasionally, especially on things where I just kind of want to give more like a recommendation more than a thoroughly in-depth review. So if you're looking for like an each episode to episode real deep dive like I usually do, we're not going to really do that here. But we are going to touch on all the good things and, maybe a couple of the bad things. Honestly, I'm trying to think of bad. And for a show that feels like an adult CW show, this is the best I've seen them do. And I'm one of those DC Legends of Tomorrow supporters. I really am. Like, I don't really like any of their other shows like Arrow and Supergirl and Flash. Like, I used to like Arrow. I used to like Flash. I never liked Supergirl. I never watched Batwoman or Black Lightning. But I did watch DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and I liked it because it was just batshit crazy. Like, they have this huge, this nice group of characters all put together in pretty insane situations, and it's something different every week. That was one of the things I liked about DC's Legends of Tomorrow, is the plots of every episode were really out there and did something different. Not unlike the more procedural feelings of the other shows, where it's just like, it got tiresome. But Doom Patrol Season 2 kind of follows that DC's Legends of Tomorrow kind of thing. I mean, this is based on the comic. There are stories taken from the books, with liberties here. But it's just as batshit crazy as Legends of Tomorrow, but more adult and a better cast, like a more kind of pedigreed cast. When you've got a former James Bond, you've got Brendan Fraser, you've got up-and-comer Diane Guerrero, who is so great in Orange is the New Black. You got April Bowlby, who is really coming into her own here off of, just doing guest stars and more like sexually exploited kind of roles, like on 2.5 Men. Matt Bomer, who, is a very handsome guy, taking a major step down as like the handsome leading man playing Larry Traynor. It's just really a fantastic cast put together here. I'm also really glad that there's no Mr. Nobody here. Like, Alan Tudyk is great, but he was kind of a force that was kind of like could overpower a lot of episodes, and he was so great at chewing scenery but it was very distracting. It's great, but like I'm glad that we've stepped away from that story, that he's not really mentioned too much here. Just little splashes, because you kind of have to, because he was such a big presence in the first season. Another great thing about this second season is it's not 15 episodes. They cut it down to 9. Now, I don't know what the reasons are. Maybe, like we're living in COVID land, but I feel like this was done a little while ago. And maybe and once it was on HBO Max, or maybe just the fact that it was on, the kind of, should I say kind of, or complete failure, I don't know, of the DC Universe app, that just now everything is basically on HBO Max now, which is great. I love it. It's like having a bunch of apps in one thing. And I know I'm like sounding like a commercial again about HBO Max, but it really is. I'm glad I have it. I'm glad the DC stuff is on here, is basically what I'm trying to say. But they cut it to 9 episodes, so it felt like a more streamlined storyline. We weren't dragging things out for 15 episodes, or God help us if it was like 22, like a lot of the, like most of the CW shows do, where it's just like, holy God, did they just really stretch it out. I was actually shocked when I was like, when it said that the season finale was up, and I hadn't seen any episodes in a while, and I looked it up and it was only 9. I was really shocked. But then once I watched it all, I was really pleased with the result. I think that having this shorter season means you can tell a more tight story and trim a lot of the fat and put really good stories in here. So after the first 2 episodes, you get to Pain Patrol, and Sex Patrol, which was really funny and really out there. And I thought, oh God, how are they going to do this? How is how are they going to take a CW looking show and do an episode where there's a bunch of just like a huge orgy going on? And while it is kind of like PG-13R situations, like I don't know, it's all still done pretty well. I mean, they're trying not to be too graphic. It's kind of like a Skinamax kind of situation where there's a lot of dry humping, going on, where it don't really look like people are grinding on each other, but it don't really look like sex. It's like that's not how sex works. Like you can't really get things to happen in that position. And why is she sitting on his neck? You can't do it from. Anyway, and now the length of the episodes are still the same, but because this is a streamlined season, it didn't really bother me. They actually had a full story to tell in each episode. It didn't feel like it dragged on. Like if you remember, like shows like Smallville, right? Its actual plot would end. The story's plot would end about 30 minutes in, and you'd still have another 12 minutes of show where they would just go, not setting up the next episode, just going on and on and on about the relationships, and throw a song in here and just kept going. They don't do that here, that kind of thing. And that happens on the CW shows too. Is they end the thing and then they just keep going and going and going and going. Here it just boom, we told the story, moving on. It kind of feels like Lost, where it ends almost like a lot of it on a cliffhanger that makes you want to see the next episode really bad, instead of going, well, I can't, I guess I can wait till next week. I actually was really excited every time I put on a new episode. And since last season's reviews, and even though they were always available to me, I would wait a week. I was kind of dreading it in a way, because I knew, oh my God, I got like 7, 8 more episodes to go. So there's that going on too. Now, the vulgarity hasn't really changed. It has been toned down, it seems, a little bit. But if for some reason, the way that the characters were in this, it really felt like they were growing this time. The first season, there was some growth, but so much of it was them just coming together and forced into situations where if you don't really like each other, the clashes just kept keeping it from becoming very cohesive to me as characters, as a unit. In this season, it really feels like there's a lot of growth happening for each character, and fast. And you could say, well, maybe it was happening too fast, but I don't think so. I really don't, because we had so much set up in season 1. So like Larry gets so much more with his family and accepting his new abilities with the negative spirit. I really liked where they all kind of end up here. Elastigirl really coming into her own, figuring out how to work her powers, overcoming self-confidence, overcoming her, dealing with issues with her mother and from her past. And it didn't feel like we were running in circles with these characters. Jane starts to deal so much with all her personalities, and it didn't feel like a grind. And now that we get to see them in the flesh more, instead of just seeing her turn into the one that's an asshole all the time, like they did so much in the first season, where it just felt like she was always just rah. Now at least you get to see them in their own environment, in her mind, and she doesn't have to just be, one character for so much of the season. It felt like she was so much that just one character. We were bouncing around so much that her whole arc of what, realizing, and it's something that's hard to focus, realize a lot of times, is she's not the real person. Jane's another construct, that was created, and really it's this little girl named Kay, who is the original, and how the power struggle that's going on inside Jane's mind, or Kay's mind, is really, really well done this season, dealing with, the abuse of her past, and all the ways that these different personalities are fighting amongst each other with, like, agendas. like, that make you go, I'm kind of thinking some of these aren't maybe even personalities. They almost feel like more like possessions in a couple of cases here. Robot Man, played by Brendan Fraser, who, again, yes, he is just a non-stop tirade of fuck, fuckity, fuck, fuck, fuck. But his arc of trying to get a relationship with his daughter is dealt with here, and him, again, growing. So much growth here that even by the end, when he's, trying to get to his daughter's wedding, I really cared this time. I kind of just didn't really care as much by the end of the first season. But in this, it really did. I really did give a shit. Even if he kept fucking up. And Vic, who gets to, he's not dealing with parental issues this year. He's more dealing with, like, this friend of his. And how she kind of has these problems that are similar to his, like PTSD, but how, close they get, and how she's dealt with them in a completely different way, and how that affects their relationship, and it affects how he thinks of things. Was really well done here. And then you get to, like, Niles, and his daughter Dorothy, which is like the big major overarching arc of the entire season, is dealing with Dorothy, a reality bending character. And I read a lot of comics, and I deal with a lot of reality benders like Scarlet Witch and Legion. That this is a very difficult kind of character who can basically make anything happen that they want. And it being a little girl, but really a woman trapped in a little girl's body. Like, a lot of these characters are kind of immortal. And so they can kind of be different, like, looking stages of age. And so this little girl that I thought was going to be annoying, and I thought that the makeup effects were going to be too distracting, they really made her into a character that I understood and sympathized with so much. And it really kept making Niles look like such, like a, he kept writing this line of villain and father, and this Xavier type character, bigger than life, that these people all hinge so much of their lives on, like whether they love him or hate him. And during this, there's so many ways that this character goes, so many directions that he goes in, and you never know throughout so much of it what his real intentions are. Is he really trying to be a good father, or is he just trying to get rid of a problem, and trying to and having the burden of all these other characters needing his help and guidance, and him not being effective in any of those respects. And when, and here's some spoilers, I mean, when we get to Space Patrol, where he intends to take her up to space, and we keep thinking he's got her complete undoing, in mind, and he kind of does. Well, he wants to find a way to help her, but it's like there's so many times where you think he's just straight up gonna kill his own daughter. But when he ejects Cliff out into space, that's when I went, oh man, like he goes to a whole nother level. And it's like when Cliff lands on Earth, he's legitimately, I mean, I love that he's going on this, like, kind of vulgarity tirade. Like, somebody shoots you into space, you crash onto Earth, without really seeming to give a shit what happened to you. Yeah, man, like, I would be mad as hell, too. We also get a lot of fun episodes, like in Sex Patrol. Like, we deal with the Danny citizens to get that call back. It's that whole thing with Danny is a brick, and the brick breaking because of Dorothy. It really had some emotional weight to it. Dumb Patrol was really fun, watching everybody go really stupid and get affected by these really hokey looking pink creatures, which normally I would be like, man, this looks so stupid. I found myself being like, just embracing the stupidity of it all. And I think that was kind of the point, is how ridiculous it all was. But then you get to Dad Patrol and Wax Patrol. And the finale here really felt like an earned finale. It felt like a finale that makes you go, oh my God, there's not a next episode. We are going to have to wait for a third season where they put our characters in a situation that is intensely dire. And I actually thought that, like a lot of CW shows, they wrap up the main plot and we move on to the next thing. In this, we don't. We have a major thing happen and we haven't dealt with it, and we're going to have to wait till season 3. And I, for one, am excited to say I can't wait to see what they do in season 3. That is a complete change in how I felt during season 1 and that season 2 video that I took down. So I'm happy to say that I feel like Doom Patrol is one of those shows that has made so many improvements to its second season that I'm gonna have to look at it'll probably make me look at season 1 differently now. And to me, it's the best thing that DC is doing for television right now. And I can't wait to talk about season 3. I think I'm going to go back to reviewing it episode to episode again, because if it's only 9 episodes, it doesn't take too long to get through. It's not going to take up a whole bunch of time in my life. But also it sounds like they really know what they're doing now. And that's really positive for DC fans. So anyway, that's my take on season 2 of Doom Patrol. Like I said, I didn't go too deep into anything too much, and I tried not to reveal too many spoilers. But yeah, good on you, DC. Good job this season. If you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Otherwise, we'll be back with more stuff later. Have a good one. Be good to each other. Wear a mask, for the love of God, so we can get through this thing. Be excellent to each other. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.